most relaxed I've been in the course of many inaugurations I've watched, because I'm not responsible for it. But I can tell you that when I was in the government, I had white knuckles because of the nature of the threats. But it's so much more difficult today because of what we have seen, not just over the last 2 weeks, but that certainly has riveted our attention, but because of this growth in polarization in the United States and domestic violence in white supremacist groups. So I know looking forward that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of the country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians. And unfortunately, I think there has been this momentum that has been generated as a result of, unfortunately, the demagogic rhetoric of people that just departed government, but also those who continue in the halls of Congress. And so I really do think that the law enforcement, Homeland Security, intelligence, and even the defense officials are doing everything possible to root out what seems to be a very, very serious and insidious threat to our democracy and our republic.
I want to read you a little bit of how...
Why don't we have a requirement nationally to wear masks?
You know, I mean, obviously there are some that will argue back and forth. I mean, for me as a public health official, obviously I would like the consideration that everybody wears a mask. We live in a country, as you well know, in which the states have a lot of responsibility. And there is pushback. And one of the concerns, I'm not saying it's the overriding concern, but let me tell you what I hear when people speak about this, is that when you mandate something, you're going to have to essentially enforce it. And will the energy that's put into enforcing actually be a distraction? Will some people push back more when you mandate? For me, I'm not necessarily think that that's the best route to go of not mandating it, but that's not my decision. The issue is, if we uniformly and consistently give the message that it is extremely important for everyone to wear a mask, that could be as good as a mandate, because there may be some pushback about mandates.
Please wear a mask.
Battlefront.
And welcome to another episode of Battlefront Southgate. I'm your host, Dustin Faulkner, and it is a pleasure to be with you again tonight. And as always, it's a pleasure to be with you, but it's not always a pleasure to bring you the things that I have to speak about. And we've gone through another week, haven't we, into this Biden administration. This so great awaited for administration, right? This administration where they expected to come into here and then all of us be very happy to follow their orders. Well, Biden didn't take long, did he, to begin writing orders, executive orders, the pen, in order to do away with the previous administration, the Trump administration. We spent a good number of years in the Trump administration doing things where we were going to have an American First agenda. We were going to have things that we've been waiting for a long time push our way. You know, the success that we wanted to have, the joy and the excitement when we got somebody into the presidency that was outside of the establishment. And Trump, for all it's worth, did the best that he could. He was constantly surrounded by people, though some of it is his fault. I can't explain why. Totally, this man decided that he would put the same people around him that he was supposed to be draining. However, the guy was new to politics. This is somebody who spent his whole life building businesses. And, you know, anybody who's ever built a business to any extent knows that it's not easy. You have to, there's a lot of work into it. You can't do everything on your own. Although we always, from the beginning, start on our own. We always push forward and we perform the duties and the services that are needed in order to begin our businesses. Your business always starts as one person, right? You always have an idea of a service that you want to provide, a particular talent that you have, and something that you see a solution for a need or a want out there, and you decide that you're going to do something to provide and meet those needs. And that's what business owners do. That's what entrepreneurs do. We always find solutions. And a lot of that is that you start as this solo person, building it from a one-man business into whatever your desire might be for that reach, to a large business. But a lot of them, 50 employees or less, maybe even less than 20. But the fact is you start as this one thing, this one entity, and you go out there and you do the work that's needed to be completed, and you do put in enormous amount of hours to where you are providing this service. You are also sacrificing your money and your time. And Trump did a lot of that. There's times that he went into bankruptcy, and then he went from nothing and then lost it. He didn't go from, he went from losing it and then building it back up, because when you've already been through all of that, you know as a business owner how to get there again. And real American capitalists don't ever give up. You can get knocked down, but you don't ever give up. But anyway, Trump knew that a lot of the times that when you're building a business is that you bring into people who you see as experts that can fit the areas that you need to delegate them to, right? And a lot of times the vision that you have, you bring in people that kind of, they fit that vision, but they may not be a bunch of yes men, because they always seem to have a little bit of difference than you have. But it fills that gap of where you aren't able to meet that criteria, and you can delegate it to them. Because the most successful people multiply their efforts through the time of others. And so what happens there is, I believe that Trump came into the office and listened to some of the wrong people. And I believe that he brought in some people that he thought, could push back against it. But as a leader, he wanted to delegate to their specialties and their expertise, because you always want to have people around you who have an expertise in an area that you aren't an expert in, but you always do your due diligence, of course, and that just goes with everything. But it's different when you go into those areas. He gets in, once you go through all of putting these people into your administration, it's difficult to get rid of them, or even difficult to get them in. So what happened is Trump surrounded himself by a bunch of the people there in DC, these infiltrators, these people who have been in politics for longer than many of us here could even imagine have been in this. A lot of us come in, I've always been into watching the politics and stuff. A lot of people, you guys out there watch sports. Well, politics is my sport. Debating is my sport. Getting out there and informing people and serving people and providing a service to the nation, that's my sport. And politics is a lot of that, because politics is everything that goes around you. A lot of people always say that they're not into politics, but well, politics is everything that's around you in the day, right? Everything that happens around you is involved in that. So what happened there is, I believe that he brought in some of the idiots and fools who were eagerly awaiting to sink their teeth into this person who wasn't in the know. Because quite frankly, you know that this man wasn't somebody who completely ran around and paid attention into those circles. Of course, throughout his life, you know, he did what he had to, I suppose, in order to run his businesses. You end up, see, that's the whole problem with what's happened to our nation. Is our nation has become this nation where capitalism hasn't existed truly for a very long time, because you've had the Fabian socialists come in and start degrading everything. The communitarians, these private public partnerships, as they've been moving our country toward communism. But communitarian communism light, which basically is they allow people to appear to feel that they have their businesses, but they take control of those businesses and they run all of the money. You see a lot of that. That's what the whole fascism is with the private public partnerships. So throughout all of these years, a lot of us have griped. I know that I have been somebody who, when it came down to certain points, I was critical of Trump. This is somebody I expected to do well. And when you're watching somebody, you know, you have to dissent sometimes from them in order to make your voice heard, because that's what the whole point is in this nation of the freedom of speech, is to be able to have our voices heard and to be able to fight back against those things that we do not agree with. And a lot of the times, there was times that I did go against Trump. I did not like some of the people that he put in. I was not a big fan of Reince Priebus at the beginning. I was okay with Pence at the time that he brought him in. You know, I defended the fool myself because I had hopes that maybe he might have offset some of the things that were problematic with Trump, especially when it was regarding pro-life and things like that. But it really showed that as he went through the presidency that Trump was actually more pro-life than anybody has ever been. The amazing things that he has done, although his folly with this last pardon blitz that he did just before he handed over the presidency to the thief, Biden, he pardoned a bunch of idiots that I couldn't believe it. All of these rappers, these people these disgusting morons that just because they want to be your buddy and act like they're your friend, because they want you to pardon them, you pardon these people that it's just hard to understand. I know I'm going off a little bit here, but pardoning people for crimes that they committed, and then they make money off of the promotion through media of the crimes that they committed. And that's the problem I have with that. People like Lil Wayne and all those guys, they made their beds, they should never have been pardoned for those crimes. And then you also have other people that were pardoned in there that I believe were a lot of Kushner people, a lot of people that he pushed through. Just was really weird. However, back to what I was saying is that we went through all of these years where Trump was battling, always constantly, to be able to move his agenda forward. So he never really got a chance to put that forward. And he had a great number of successes despite all of that. And that's why it's truly amazing that we've come to this point where somebody like Biden can take the presidency and then really go full force into the problems that we're seeing now. I've railed against for some time of what would happen with a Biden presidency. I remember in the early months of when he was running, and then he had really, it was a joke, of course, about when they had their primaries going on. Kamala fell off. You had Buttigieg, all of these fools that just were, in reality, nobody was going to support, even liberals. Just, they had a bad taste in their mouths for these people. And it was clear that nobody accepted somebody like Biden, except the most extreme leftists. The people tearing apart the country are the only ones, the depraved people, the only ones who were smiling about somebody like Biden even being on that platform. And of course, you know that this man who has no control of his mental faculties is not in control at all. And you know that he gets there and he sits there because he's like a child, really, now. You get this person who was a communist from the beginning, back when he actually had control of his mind, not control of himself. He was always controlled. He was always being controlled by the communists. You see that these people herald a lot of the things that he does, but he gets something to start signing all of these executive orders. Now, back in the early months, I tried to warn everybody about this. I tried to tell you, this is why you heard me repeatedly say that Trump was going to win by a slim margin. And that's because I knew that there was going to be a theft there. And especially when you entered into 2020, and then we were looking at all of these lockdowns and how people automatically were joining in with that. They weren't, especially Christians, the people who are supposed to be discerning individuals, the people who are supposed to be the backbone of this nation, have no longer the spirit of strength within them. Their whole armor has been destroyed in the last year. These people were the ones that, you know, who knew what true liberty really was. They themselves were made to fear and then gave into all of this. But during those early months, I kept on saying it's a reality that Biden can win the presidency. And I did a lot of that because I wanted you to realize that you needed to get out there and fight against these issues, these problems, to not let some virus, which I've never said wasn't a real virus, cause you to fear. And now here we sit because a lot of people became disenfranchised and fearful over the last year to where they became obedient and complicit and capitulated to these evil men, these nation seizers, these people who are now in vast control now. And that is what we're going to speak about tonight. We're going to speak about these issues that we're seeing now and what needs to be done and who are you really and what are you going to do. That is why it's really important to get a ground and understand what's happening and what is going to be happening. That's why we will keep repeating ourselves on this program until people really come out of that slumber and really come out of their prisons now that they have allowed themselves to be put in. And it takes leaders to do that. And when we come back, we will speak about that issue. This is Battlefront SouthGate.
Hey, this is Jeff Dornick, founder of the GK Podcast Network. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope that you'll subscribe to this channel and give us a 5-star review. You have no idea how much this helps us. Also, if you'd like to watch the full version of the show, you can join our plugged-in membership. For only $10 a month, you'll get access to the live stream and full video versions of our shows, the recordings from the Destroy Social Justice Conference, online access to our book Social Injustice, our weekly devotional, 30% off in the GK store, and so much more. Please visit gatekeepersonline.com/plugged-in for more information and to sign up. Thank you for your support.
And welcome back to the second segment of Battlefront Southgate. I am your host, Dustin Faulkner, and tonight we are talking about the ongoing madness of the Biden administration and this person who now sits as our commander-in-chief and the vast disrespect that he actually has for freedom-loving, liberty-seeking, God-serving, country-loving Americans. And as you could see, that there was a bunch of photo optics that went on during the inauguration, and and you'll remember that if you follow me there on Twitter, which is at DLordFalk, you can also follow us there on Twitter at BF_Frontline. We haven't got everything up on our social media, but with Gab and MeWe and everything, these are things you got to take a little bit of time to do. But we really try and focus on continuing to monitor everything that's going on and doing our research and getting ready for the programs and the fight that we are actually engaged in now for you. So with the time that we have, that's what I'm able to do. And I really appreciate all of the support that everybody has given and to continue to support the networks like this. But you'll remember that we were talking about that people needed to make sure that they were not going out there and causing any trouble, because and they really weren't. But you have to kind of vocally say these things, unfortunately, so that you can use that as evidence that you are against anything that they try and accuse us of doing when they put forward their Antifa members, this black bloc, these people that seek to destroy our nation and to make us fear. But you saw all of the National Guard troops that were called to DC, and about how it was this vast ghost town, except for a bunch of elitists and politicians that were there for the inauguration, and white-haired Mike Pence with his fake tears sitting there watching our nation be handed over to President unelected Biden and Harris. And you've seen that there was this message being sent to you. And this message was, we're in control now. We are the communist regime. We are the strong arm of this nation, and we're going to tell you what's going to happen. And so what happened is they were sworn in, and even Kamala Harris was sworn in at 11:48 and not 12 p.m. as the Constitution rules state, because she was so eager to be able to get into this position of control. And it's coming. Biden's not going to make it through his presidency. You already know that. All of us know this. All of us know that this is an issue that's going to come to fruition. But Biden got there and he signed all of these executive orders. He shut down the Keystone Pipeline, which has been a stalwart of jobs and was obviously something that Trump had opened up and allowed for people to do. They're shut down the fracking on the so-called federal lands. And see, what's happening here is that if you remember during the Obama administration, what were they doing during that time? And this is, something that everybody rebelled against. That you even had crazy people like Alex Jones that was revealing these things about what was going on with the Bureau of Land Management. Hey, that's BLM right there before there was actually a Black Lives Matter. There goes the initials that people now will get mixed up. But the Bureau of Land Management was being used by this administration to go around and seize private property. Because remember, that's what was the whole thing with the farmer, the rancher, I forget his name now, where you had a bunch of oath keepers and everybody helping him defend against that onslaught there. But what happened there is he stopped paying his taxes because of what was happening with these. They were using these rules in order to steal land from people and then federalize it using stupid water laws. A lot of you there in Illinois and Wisconsin have been through that. Wisconsin, Minnesota, a lot of you have been through what happened during that time period about how you couldn't build certain things on your own land because of these rules that that administration was pushing through. So now we're entering into this whole thing like it's a continuation of the Obama agenda. And it's not really, so to speak, an Obama agenda, but the globalist communists from abroad who continue to lay hands and seize our nation using our own politics against us, our own foolishness, our own hands as we destroy each other by giving in, whether it be through attrition or whether it be that maybe you're lazy, or maybe you have a false view of what Scripture tells us to do with government authority. But you're going to see a lot of that happening now, is that they're going to go and start declaring everything to be federal land. They'll start laying seizure of more private property, especially in states where where there's not really a conservative stronghold. And I see a lot of people say Texas is really starting to go downhill on that. I respect a lot of the things that Cruz has recently done. But I got to tell you that I kind of get the feeling, just based on the person that he is and his past actions, that he's really kind of setting himself up for running 2024, so that you see that this guy was this tough guy and opposed this, which is easy to oppose, by the way. Many of you are afraid to do it. But and it's welcome. All right? I'm not saying that what he's doing is a bad thing. What I am saying, though, is it's optics to me. That way he'll get elected. Because you can't forget, this is the same person that wanted to increase the legal immigration, which has been a huge problem on illegal immigration because of the H-1B visas and all of those other visas that they were allowing these people to come into our country in work, go to school, and then take jobs from a lot of the countrymen here. And that's another thing, as you're watching this happen, about thousands and thousands of people have lost their employment. And then, you have Biden who tells you that you'll get another job. Where? You're shutting all of them down. And you're going to, through more regulation, shut any kind of new creation of jobs. That's what we're going to have to deal with in this new administration. And it's rapid. They're not wasting any time. And a lot of you knew already that they weren't going to waste any time. You knew that when they took control of every aspect of the government bodies, that it was going to be an issue. And if you go over there onto leohoman.com, who is actually somebody that you should be paying attention to, he's among many who write independently and don't pick any bones about what he says. And the man's been writing tremendously good work about how you're going to have to really choose what you're going to do. And I posted an article by him when he was calling on I think it was like 10 things that needed to be done about how we can fight against this takeover peacefully, to be able to, the things that we need to get rid of, about how we need to get off of Facebook, to stop using Amazon. And a lot of you who are Christian and all that, I haven't had Netflix for a while. And admittedly, in the past, I would turn it on for like a show that I wanted to watch, and then I turn it off within less than 30 days. But that's not ever happening again for me. I haven't had it probably in a year, but we need to start getting rid of these things, this foolishness, these things that you guys think you can't go without, because it's all been created in order to have control of you. And truly, none of it really does glorify God. A lot of you know that, we are under judgment for a lot of the things that we've allowed to happen. I mean, thank goodness that we got a reprieve for 4 years. That was nice, but it's no secret that this happened to us, and about how now Biden's going to give amnesty. So all of the work that you've done for these last 4 years is going to be handed over to foreigners. They're going to come in and take over your country. And we're not just under judgment because of, the obvious things like abortion and the promiscuity and the pornography that we've allowed to permeate every aspect of our lives, down to social media, things like TikTok. But, excuse me, I seem to only cough when I get here into this area of East Texas, Lindale, Texas. I don't cough for anything outside of this, so please excuse me. There's something here that it really irritates my allergies. But you really are going to start having to choose sides. See, now we're at a point where we're going to have to fight. And fighting isn't just by physical means, it's through many different areas. But I'll tell you one way that you can be able to fight back. And we are holding a conference on February 6th. It is the conference called Infiltrated, Church and State, How the Left Used the Church to Conquer America. And a lot of you know that is that is our newest book that we had come out earlier in the year of, in the middle of the year of 2020, where many of us got together and we wrote about how the church was being used in order to get a hold of America. And many times you see me promote these books, but we got a conference coming up. It's a live online conference on February 6th. And you can go there to gatekeepersonline.com and use the code Faulkner, Faulkner, and buy your tickets for $15 minus the $5 by using that code. And then you will get several of these people that are in this conference, including Dr. Mike Spalding, Dr. Bobby Lopez. You also have Jeff Dornick, myself. I will be speaking there at this conference. And we're going to educate you with 25-minute presentations throughout the whole day. It's a great time. It's a great offer for you to be able to get the information that will be presented for you and showing how through the various aspects how a lot of this stuff has come to this point. And we'll be presenting to you through great speeches on how you need to understand what happened here and how we will be able to prevent that going forward. So go over there to gatekeepersonline.com, use the code Faulkner, Faulkner, get $5 off of those tickets, and then be with us there on Saturday, February 6th, as Infiltrated, Church and State, how the left used the church to conquer America. Many great speakers, including myself, and we're going to show you what has happened to your nation, how it happened, and give you, hopefully, some information that you can use in order to choose which way you're going to go. And when we come back, we will discuss more about what's going on here in America and what you need to be doing and what side you're going to choose and what we mean by joining the fight. This is Battlefront SouthGate. Dustin Faulkner here. Thanks for joining the Southgate, produced by Battlefront Broadcasting for the GK Podcast Network. It has been an honor to bring you a perspective on truth that you may not be getting through your normal avenues. That's what we do here. That's why we want to help you become equipped with the deepest research and the most qualified experts to help us deliver this. But you may know we're not just Battlefront Southgate with Dustin Faulkner, the podcast on this network. We are a growing network of our own. Currently, we are building a website that will deliver content to you which no other network seeks to bring. We are a news organization, a research organization, and an entertainment media organization. We will be a conference organization, only bringing you the best speakers and soldiers in this fight against that which seeks to destroy our nation and others abroad. But first, we are your truth-revealing organization. The only way we can bring this is by your support. Help us to continue launching this and grow a network for you to get exactly what you need. If you enjoy the Southgate program, then be prepared for what we are building at bfbroadcasting.com. If you would like us to fulfill our purpose as Battlefront Broadcasting, please support us through paypal.me/default systems. DFAULKSYSTEMS. Any amount you choose will not go to waste and will help to continue launching this network, which we know you won't regret. Thank you for listening, and keep informed and be prepared with us. BFB out. And welcome back to the final segment of Battlefront Southgate. I'm your host, Dustin Faulkner. And tonight we're talking to you about some of the sweeping executive orders through this war with the pen that Joe Biden is instituting these measures to destroy your country. But first, we just spoke to you about the conference. A lot of you, anybody who missed it, the conference there on gatekeepersonline.com coming up on February 6th, called Infiltrated to Church and State, how the left used the church to conquer America. And that is based off of the book, Church and State. There are a few of us who that will be speaking there at that conference, that online conference that co-wrote and collaborated on this book. And and what's really great about this book is that we all wrote those subjects separately, and none of us spoke with each other on what we were writing, and sat there and then said, oh, well, I'm going to write this and make sure that yours is in line. None of us did that. We were all asked to come together on this book, and all of us knew who was working with that. You have Pastor Kim Peters on there, Denise McAllister, Pastor Greg Locke. You have Jeff Dornick, J.D. Rucker, Dr. Mike Spalding, Dr. Robert Lopez, who goes by Bobby, Pastor Sam Jones. All of us wrote there on the issues of this book, and we were telling you about how the church is being used, about how you have these communists that infiltrated the church and used it in order to really push forward on to the country and seize it. And now you're even seeing with this Joe Biden administration how those people are now out there in the front, like Ed Stetzer the clown from Lifeway or whatever, and about how he's been using the Wheaton College, all of those guys, Russell Moore. Ed Stetzer seems like he's really starting to set himself up to run for what, the ERLC or president, or is it the SBC president? I believe it's SBC president. J.D. Greer is in that position. You can read a lot about the work there. Thomas Littleton on 30piecesofsilver.org does a very good amount of research and presents that there on his website. So I urge you to go there and check and stay on top of that. He also allows gatekeepers to carry a lot of his articles. But you can go there online to gatekeepersonline.com and go ahead and get that book. In fact, that very book, when you're using the code Faulkner, you can buy that book and then get a ticket as well to that online conference. But using Faulkner, but you can also buy that book by itself by using the code Dustin, Dustin, and use that code with anything that you buy there in the store. Anything that you buy there in the store, and you will be able to get 10% off. Don't forget also the previous book before that one was Social Injustice, and that was exposing the false gospel of the social justice movement, which I have told you repeatedly is what really led into how people started capitulating and obeying these lockdowns, these things where they believe that it's the moral thing to do to sit there and hide behind a mask. And it's sad because you see some very well-intentioned and caring people that have become victims of this mask ideology. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you I hadn't worn a mask, but there's been very few times, and it was only necessary that I had to because there was something that I had to do and I was no way around it, and it had to be done. But in order to do that, but other than that, I have never worn a mask. In fact, everywhere I go, I don't put a mask on. I don't even do it at the places where I'm at and attending. In fact, this is what you guys really need to do. You need to really cast that off. That's why we played that for you about Fauci. That's why we keep playing it. I know that you guys are getting tired of seeing that man, but you need to actually, instead of just seeing him, that's why I play a lot of what he says, is so that you hear what he says, and then boom, I come on here and I start giving you the commentary and speaking about the things that relate to that thing, to that issue. This is a person that you're going to have to endure for the next 4 years of psychopathic mind control you have to really start thinking in your mind and deciding what it is you're going to do and where you're going to stand. Because they keep on telling you that you need to be doing this, but they've never even shown you the science behind this. It's all arbitrary science. It's all just to make you be bummed out, to not be able to see the countenance of people. Nobody smiles anymore. In fact, that you have the people out there now, some may have been some of the nicest people before. And, you know, as I've said before, some of the people that's messed me over in life the most were people that others claim to be the nice people. Just because somebody appears to be nice, or other people brag about him being nice, doesn't mean it is true. You know, people put on a show, and you know that. But now people are ruder to people more than ever, and now you're going to really see how they start turning against you. That is why it's extremely important for all of us to start pushing back and get this. We outnumber these people. You know that you have the ability to put your foot down and to be able to stop listening to these things they're telling you to do. It's going to come to a time now, because they're going to start doing these executive orders, these the law by fiat. And you know that those executive orders that you had to endure in 2020 were not even lawful orders. They keep on telling you, oh, well, it's during emergencies that they could do that. No, you still have to follow the Constitution. You still have to follow the legislative process. And none of them done it. That's why I keep on telling you that, like, you hear these people saying, oh, well, those are Republican strongholds. Bull hockey. That's not true, because here in Texas, the one person that seemed to be like he was a smart conservative really showed his clown face this time, and then he put it behind a mask. And then he's no different than Mike Pence. He is somebody that will make you look bad. And the only reason that Greg Abbott is even doing anything right now is because it's time to campaign. Because 2022 is coming pretty fast. But you're going to start seeing these people really giving in. And it's going to be between you and the tyrants. And you're going to be told now that you don't have the right to practice Christianity. And any clown out there telling you, well, what have you lost? Hey, fools. Did you not see what happened in 2020? They were locking the churches down and telling you couldn't worship. In fact, to this day, I can still go out there and I can get video footage of these churches that still promote mask wearing. And in fact, these so-called churches that they have RSVPs in order to attend. RSVPs. See, that's the problem. Let me tell you something. The Great Commission is not a business plan. The Great Commission is not a hedge fund. So the moment that you start seeing these organizations, and they're big, and they have these 501c3 protections, and they're making tons of money, where you have people living in mansions, these pastors, oh, well, he deserves it. Is that right? He needs to live in a mansion? What about all of the land that you people are handing to them? Those people are the ones that are capitulating. See, when you start hearing them talk about and distorting Romans 13, you need to look at where their money comes from. And that comes from 501c3s. And it comes from they don't even pay taxes. They don't pay land taxes. They get all of this stuff for free under the guise of Christianity. And you need to really start counting who's on your side. See, we're at a point now, for example, you see in the latest reports that Antifa was out there in Seattle protesting and rioting against Biden. That's optics. You need to think clearly on this. Here's what happens. See, what they are, and they are the brown shirts that will be the new soldiers coming after you. Because we're already going to push out the good ones inside of the military and then replace them All right. Like a lot of people think that, they think that the National Guard and all of these guys won't turn against him. That's false. You saw that with the Black Lives Matter riots and everything while they were dancing with them and taking a knee. You're a fool if you think that there's people that's been placed in there that are on your side anymore. They're taught to be that way now. I will not encourage my son to join the military anymore. Not under this administration, and probably never again because of what's happened. We'll probably never see it again. But that's why we have to do something and to fight against it. That's why we have to really make a stand as Americans. You have to remember that your forefathers did that. Now, as I was saying, the Antifa thing was optics. And I'll tell you why with those guys. What they're going to do is they're going to go in here into these cities and they're going to be burning it down, vandalizing and busting it up, saying that they want certain conditions met. And these conditions will be willingly met by a Kamala Biden administration. She's already said before to give them the things that they want. Joe Biden himself has already said before that he would give them the things that they wanted before he was even in the presidential office. So it will be an excuse in order to write more executive orders, in order to get the legislative bodies together and pass bills that give things to these people. They're already introducing bills that declares organizations like ours as terrorist organizations. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not out there trying to hurt people. I am out there trying to help people come to the truth. And I am out there standing for the freedom of people, and even the freedom of people who aren't Christian, in the hopes that I can reach them through my Christianity. And that's where you're going to really have to start making choices now. It's time to cast off the mask. What are they doing now? You notice that it's said the virus is plateauing until it's an opportune time for them to say it's spiking again. That has nothing to do with the masks. And you've even seen there, at the places that had the most stringent measures on locking people down, how the spike of this so-called virus. And still, we don't even know if any of those numbers are true because they can't come to the truth on that. They won't, and they never will. You're starting to see a lot of evidence come out against it. You have to make an understanding of where you're going to go now. You have to come to terms that you're going to have to resist the reality. And the reality is that which they are making it. The reality of communism. The reality of socialism. The reality of fear. Your life matters only to yourself. They don't care for it. They surely don't care about your God, your Christ, because you are an enemy of the state if you are Christian. And they will seek to take you down unless you are agreeing with their measures. And so, that is all the time that we have for you tonight. You need to be strong and be out there taking care of business. Make your choice. Resist their reality. This is Battlefront Southgate. I am Dustin Faulkner. Be strong. Southgate out.